Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Candace Owens is suing the Australian government. Why? Because they denied her visa. They denied her entry into this great country because, well, she happens to be controversial, and we can't have a controversial speaker show up and share her ideas in a free democratic society. Now, can we? Now, while I have been rather critical of Candace Owens' comments in the past when it comes to the Holocaust and other things that she has mentioned and downplaying the actual Holocaust and, everything like that, it doesn't mean that she should be banned or not allowed entry into a country. And so those people that want to support her and want to listen to her, she's not going to incite violence. She's not going to send people on this massive mob-like mentality. It's not like that at all. In fact, I think a lot of her followers are quite tame individuals. Like, you read some of the comments, and while they do agree with her with some of the ludicrous and outrageous claims that she makes, we live in a free society. We should be allowed to say what we want to say. Doesn't mean that it's right at all. Doesn't mean the information that we are saying is correct, but we should be allowed to say it regardless. But nevertheless, in the country of Australia that is becoming more authoritarian as the days approach, we are losing that right and that ability. So while Candace Owens is allowed to say whatever she wants in her own country because they have freedom of speech enshrined in their constitution, which we don't have it here, it makes it very difficult for her to go outside of that country and actually enter into a first world country like Australia and now New Zealand, because she's being banned. She's being banned by the Australian government and now the New Zealand government because she is too controversial. She can't say things that she believes in and explain why she believes them because, well, it's going to hurt the country. But yet we can allow illegal immigrants into the country, and that's not going to hurt the country, is it? We can allow Muslims to rampage around in our cities, and that's totally fine. That's accepted. That's normal. In fact, that's praised. We can allow, Jewish people to be beaten and bashed on the streets, and, we're going to do nothing about that. Or we can have these dingbat protesters shutting down Christmas in the streets of Melbourne. Yeah, that's all accepted. But no, we can't have Candace Owens come down under or even to Kiwi land because she is too controversial. She said things in the past we don't like or we don't agree with. How absurd is that? So here's why New Zealand has turned her down. This is a massive excuse, if you ask me. Because she was refused entry into Australia in October under Section 15 of the Immigration Act, an individual may not be granted a visa to come to New Zealand if they have been excluded from another country. INZ said in a statement. What a massive cop-out. Now, there is something rather interesting about Candace Owens' visa situation. And so I have a little clip for you all to watch. It is rather interesting. So have a listen or watch of Candace Owens in her own words explain her visa situation and why she's in fact suing the government of Australia because of it.
Australia, so they banned my visa before I even applied for my visa. It's actually unheard of. Like Tony Burke, before I even applied, before he even looked through my application or assessed anything, he went to the press and said, "I'm going to ban her." Very strange, also in violation of Australia's constitution. And so we've lawyered up, obviously, and we are going through the appellate process. But before you can take it to the courts, you have to go through the appeal with Tony Burke's office. So essentially saying, we're appealing your decision. Give us a decision, basically reject our appeal, as we are expecting him to do, because this is a dictator. He's an authoritarian. Otherwise, you would at least have to wait to get the application, to read the application before you say, I'm going to refuse it. That would make sense, because you'd have to just do your job and investigate any of the claims. But he didn't. He just said she's banned. So anyways, we filed our appeal immediately, and their office came back to us with this, which is unbelievable. They're writing to our legal representative. They write, we refer to the correspondence sent to you by the National Character Consideration Center. I can't believe they even have that on Ms. Farmer's behalf. And it basically, they write, Ms. Owens's revocation request will be considered and decided within a reasonable period of time. So they're basically like, we will decide on your appeal within a reasonable period of time. The department cannot confirm the exact timing of the decision. However, the department can confirm the decision on your request will not be made before the 22nd of November. In this respect, it is our understanding that the proposed dates of the tour, which Ms. Farmer intended to attend in Australia, have changed. We invite you to provide any updated information in this regard. We note your indication that your client intends to bring proceedings. It's unclear to us on what basis such an application would be made when it cannot be said that there has been a failure to make a decision within a reasonable period of time. Okay, so they're saying they need more time to decide on the appeal. You can't make this up. So you needed negative time to decide to ban me. You needed negative time because I hadn't even applied. You said, banned, she's out of here. I'm looking for her application. She hasn't applied, but she's already banned. So they negative time to decide to reject me, but now they need more time to consider my appeal. It's not like we can give them new material for the appellate process. So we're just like, goodbye. We are just taking this straight to the courts. We have respected this office. Truly, I think an office that has disrespected itself. You have completely dishonored yourself, Tony Burke, and I don't know why you would do that. At least pretend that you're doing something sensible and like you actually care about what the public is saying enough to respectably go through an application and not copy and paste a bunch of CNN articles calling somebody a white supremacist that's black. I mean, it was just a complete nonsense. It's, hi, I'm probably not a Nazi. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be kind of weird if I was a white supremacist Nazi. Like everything you read on CNN is not true. I don't want to tell you, Tony Burke. But anyways, we are going through with this process. I want to thank the people in Australia who have stood behind us and signed the letter, which we delivered those signatures to Tony Burke's office, or somebody in Australia did that. And I'm totally blanking on her name, but we deeply appreciate what you've done thus far. Also, if you are Australian and you want to give to the process that we are taking this to the high courts, you can head to Give, Send, Go, and somebody has actually put up there a link for you guys if you want to give money for that process. It's givesendgo.com. Look up help Candace OZ / help Candace OZ.
Australia banned Tony Burke, banned Candace Owens' visa before she even applied for one. That's not heard of. But sure, we can allow illegals into the country from Gaza. We can give them access. By all means, we can provide them refuge and send them into the streets of Australia, not even knowing who the hell they are, I might add. Oh, we're doing them all a favor. But we're going to deny a US commentator, a US YouTuber, because she is too controversial to the plight of Israelis, right? Because she happens to deny certain things that went on during World War II. Like, just because you don't like her doesn't mean she can't enter into Australia. Like, that is authoritarian, if you ask me. That is what dictators do. Tony Burke is being a dictator, as Candace Owens said, rightfully so. Now, while I may disagree with some of the things that Candace Owens has said in the past, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, which is what Tony Burke's doing. What I've been seeing a lot in our society, in our country today, are a lot of these weak leaders that stand up and go, we're doing this to protect the citizens of Australia. But then on the other hand, they contradict themselves when they allow all these other people in where we don't even know who the hell they are. How does that work exactly? These politicians are only in it for themselves. They're only in it to get back in next election. So if you have all these monkeys that jump up and down and yell and scream at them, and Tony Burke and the like, who is a politician, they're all getting paid at our dime, by the way, and doing all the wrong things, I believe it's a good thing that Candace Owens knows her rights. And we barely have a constitution, by the way. It's hanging on by a mere thread by the looks of things, especially under good old Albanese. But I think it is absolutely ridiculous and it's absurd, and it's a shame to Australia. It really is, because this is like an Australian and US relationship. And if you're crushing a US commentator from coming into the country. What does that say about Australia? We can't handle free speech because we don't like what a person says. So therefore, you can't enter into our borders. Like, get real. So does that mean you're going to close off Trump because you don't like Trump, or you think Trump's controversial? Oh, no. We can't do that because Trump is he's the president of the United States. So we can definitely do it to US commentators or US controversial figures. Like, they almost did it with Tucker Carlson, right? But he was allowed in, and they all had something to say about that when he came down under. My goodness me, the press would not shut up. The press in Australia have become mindless zombies, mindless woke numbskulls that are just feeding the virus even more. If you haven't watched the mainstream media recently, then maybe you should. But good on Candace Owens for taking a stand, going to the High Court or the Supreme Court in Australia, whichever court you want to, and going, hey, court in Australia, maybe, just maybe, a little bit of common sense may prevail, and maybe she might be allowed to be let in. Doesn't mean I'm going to go watch her. Just means that I think that she should not be banned for controversial thoughts. Like, good grief, man. She's not a terrorist. She's not someone that's going to blow up the country. Like, what in the world are you on about? But can't let in people that are like Candace Owens. It's just not right. I can't accept this. I can't take it. Just, what the hell? Honestly, what the actual hell? Candace, if you're watching this, like, I'm all for you suing the living hell out of our government because they are pathetic. Anyway, you guys take care. You be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.